Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You know, you can find us on television, 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, which is syndicated, and that's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Some more exciting things we're going to be talking to you about just about 30 days or so. So we're really excited about that as well. I have one of my very best friends with me right now. His name is Phillip Gilliland, and he's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. We've known each other a long time. Phillip has been through thick and thin with me and Phil about.
Well, I was trying to remember how long it was been this morning, but I know it's been over 3 years.
Oh, it's been way over 3 years, because it was before 2020 and COVID. You remember that's when I got out of the studio and started on my own with my own studio in the house. So it was a couple of years before that.
Yeah. I knew it'd been a while, but it just seems like it's gone by in a hurry.
It does. But I definitely appreciate our friendship.
Oh, I do too.
I
do too. I absolutely do. You know, it's not often in life you have that closeness with a lot of people, and when you do, you learn to be relaxed, and you learn that those people in that circle really matter, and I'm thankful you're in my circle.
Well, I'm glad to be, and you need a pastor like this. So I mean, I'm talking every decision about the business to something wrong with a chicken. Got one time about a chicken. Was that your expertise?
Yeah, it was. That's where my education came from, and my years of work. It was good for me. The poultry business was really good to me all my life. I mean, from the time I was a kid, I grew up on a poultry farm and cattle farm, and then worked in that. Thinking when you're a kid, everything was hand done. There was no mechanicals to it, and then today it's like everything else. It's all the environments are controlled with computers and things, and so you had to learn a lot over those years. But the poultry business was really good to me. It provided a good living. My boys are still in that business. The company that they own supplies equipment to processing plants all around the world. So it's been good to more than just my generation.
Well, and I love my girls too. And on the chicken house, we actually have their names on April, May, and June.
Yeah.
But it's all a good world. I mean, it really is. And the things that you and I, friendship is just really important. And I try not to worry him to death about every little thing in our lives, but it's just good that we got a closeness.
Yes, I value that. I value it highly.
Yeah, I remember when we were trying to decide what we were going to do, because I was actually renting space from radio stations and TV stations, and COVID hit. And so I have asthma, and the person who owned the radio station said, "You really make me nervous coming to the studio." She said, "I'm afraid you're going to get COVID." And she said, "Go at it on your own." And I said, "I don't feel disciplined enough. I don't think I can make it work, because I've never worked out of my home before." But I consulted with you. And then I remember you prayed it.
Yes. Yeah, I believe what the Bible says. Don't worry about anything, but pray about everything. That's what Paul said.
And that's the kind of friend you need, because I felt so at ease after that.
Well, I'm glad, because it worked out really good.
It definitely did. Now I can just pick up and run. If I want to go to Jamaica, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I would go from there. Let's talk about the Cowboy Church, because a lot of people still have questions. But what is it?
The Cowboy Church is a church that we've tried to eliminate the barriers that keep people from coming to church, and it's very relaxed, and people come to Cowboy Church that don't like churches, and they'll come to Cowboy Church, and we have some new ones in our church now, and they just adapt to it really quickly. Yesterday there was a young man, I'd never met him before, and he came and accepted Christ yesterday, and he'd never been in our church before. But being relaxed lets people feel the whole thing. People don't have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way. to come to Cowboy Church. That's what taking away the barriers does. It allows the Holy Spirit the freedom to work, and it was great, and I needed a great day. And yesterday was a really good day. Of course, we're in the midst of holiday season, and a lot of things happen, and but Cowboy Church, that it's really a slow time for us because we slow down during the month of December, and boy, come next month in January, we're cranked back full wide open. We have the testing of the bulls that'll be at Thousand Hills Cowboy Church in Etheridge, Tennessee, on January the 11th. On January the 12th, we're doing an ordination service for Dusty Poe at the Cowboy Church of Marshall County. He's the new pastor there. And then I have a trip to Texas the end of January, and then at the latter part of February, we hadn't set the date yet, we'll have a pastor processing, and there'll be a group of young or new pastors come and go through that process. It's like our church affiliates, and we were talking about some of the new affiliates up in western North Carolina and Kentucky are the two hot spots right now, churches that have been up and going, and they saw our response to the hurricane and the storms up there, and we have had some interest, and people are asking questions, and I feel like that there's going to be a couple of new affiliates, and I'm going to be making a trip up to one of those churches real soon here. So it'll get busy in January, but Cowboy churches are really booming right now. Besides what I deal with out here, Danny, who leads our new affiliate team, he is working with some churches in Montana, and we have new churches there, new churches in Utah of all places, places where people have left the Mormon church, and a lot of the people that make up those Cowboy churches, the two churches that are in Utah, they are people that left the Mormon church and came to Cowboy Church and found their place, and thank the Lord for that. We have a lot of things going on, and most of it is really good stuff. So it looks like next year is going to be a great time for us.
I wanted to mention this, and this is something I've observed, is you guys are not really an organization. You're more like a brotherhood. You're more like a family.
Yeah, that's why we call ourselves a fellowship, because we, guys like myself, and there's, I think, 8 of us, two of those being ladies, but that make up the staff, and there's a 10-member board, but the 8 of us that are the staff, and of course I served 3 years on the board before I became part of the staff, but we really serve the churches. We work for the churches. So when I go and help a church, like I'll be helping in the ordination service at Marshall County for Dusty Poe, and man, I think he's going to be a great pastor. He's an awesome guy. He'll be going through our pastor process, but the things that we do, I don't lord over a church, and I don't have any responsibility over a church. I really work for that church, and I'm really part of them. So all our churches are a fellowship. So we don't refer really to our accidentally, I'll say sometimes, organization, but we're really a fellowship, and we're all part of a big family that goes all the way from New Mexico to North Carolina. So that's a good thing. That's the good part.
It's a huge help. So we were going to Lookout Mountain Cowboy Church, and so it's like 5th Sunday, so they'll go around to other churches, and they all support each other. So all these cowboy churches in a particular area will all come. So Judy she really trusts the Lord, okay?
Yeah.
And I do too. But I'm telling you, thunderstorm heads were all over the place, and we were having food outside. Mr. Chesser was cooking. I mean, all this was chuck wagons and the whole thing was going on. And so I walked up to Judy and I said, "Do we need to get ready to go inside?" Because I mean, there were clouds here, here, and here.
Yeah.
We were surrounded by thunderstorm. And she said, "God's got this." And I said, "Well, yeah, but I mean, there are thunderstorm clouds all around us." She said, "God's got this." Sure enough, God had it.
Oh, yeah.
We ate not a drop of rain. Now, the minute we walked inside, then it started. But I'm just saying, those are the kind of people you want to hang out with.
Oh, yeah. They're great. In fact, I was there the Sunday before Christmas. They had their youth, and one of their kids, of course, is the girlfriend of my teenage son, and they've been boyfriend and girlfriend for a year and a half now. So they were doing a Christmas program. So I got Charles Manning, my associate pastor, to preach for me that Sunday, and I went to church there. And man, it was incredible. I bet there was 250 people if there was one there. I stood up the whole time, and I wasn't the only one standing up. There was 20 or 30 people that couldn't be seated that were standing, and it was just a great day. And that church is really unique in how fast it has grown to that size, because that's not for them to have 250 people is not unusual. They'll have that pretty regularly in that church.
And they've expanded out, what, 2 times?
Yeah,
3
twice.
times?
They built on twice, and such to think that we started that or helped be part of the start of it 3.5 years ago in a 3-sided hay barn in July. And to look at it today, it's just, and they have an incredible amount of young people, and of course Robert and Selena do the young people and do such a great job.
You know, when they had that 3-sided building, okay, I'm one of those in church. I sit with the older ladies. I'm always freezing to death. I wasn't even too cold, so we had like this little heater. It was there was no side to one side, so the cold was coming in. For some reason, I felt comfortable. You know?
Yeah.
I've sat in choir before when everybody else was doing this. And I would be the only one sitting here freezing to death. So, but there was just some kind of comfort.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And some of our churches, like Marshall County, they endured a couple of years in a tent, a big, huge tent, and I preached in that tent.
Is that where Terry went?
He did. He went there. That was his church. Yeah. It's and I think back in that. Of course, he went home to be with the Lord a few years ago, and I did his funeral. I thought, goodness, how tough it is doing, because he and I began riding together when he was either 16 or 17, and I was either 13 or 14. He was just a few years older than me, and we traveled a lot together, roping and preaching. He'd go when we helped start the church over at Marion County. He'd go back and forth over there with us, and we'd just have a great time. Those are some fond memories of mine. Guys like Terry might not have ever really been at home in a church, except it was a cowboy church, because he was a cowboy. He had been a cowboy all his life, and he was quite a good one. On top of that,
award-winning.
Yeah, getting rid of all those things, helping his wife get rid of those things after his passing. He had a room full of trophy saddles, literally a room full. And anyway, that was, and this year, I think Christmas was a little different for us this year, because we have buried a lot of people, and people there were so many people that I'm close to that were struggling with grief this year. People that, a lady that's my age. I'll just give you an example. A lady that's my age, and she lost a 52-year-old daughter, and that was just before Thanksgiving and to go through these holidays. And I was with her on Christmas Eve. I was with two other homes on Christmas Eve, praying with people through that time of grief. And I was late by about an hour getting to my family's get together that day, but they waited, and it was important for me to be with them. And when I drove out the driveway from my sister's headed home, I got a call. This lady had passed away, and we're talking about Christmas Eve. And I get that call that said, "Can you help with Mother's funeral on Saturday?" And I said, "Absolutely." So that Saturday was the day that my wife's family get together was, this past Saturday. And I was 2 hours late to it, but I got there. And we did the funeral, and I said that it was a little like it came and went in a hurry, because we had a lot of opportunities to be an encouragement to people, and I preached about this yesterday. For me, I'm thankful I get to do that. It is a season that I'm in, because I'm at a certain age, and a lot of people and friends of mine at my age don't get to live as long and as well as I have done. And I've got aches and pains, but I don't have anything seriously that I'm ailing. And when I leave here this morning, I'll be going to visit this lady that I went to school with, and I try to go see her every week. Now, I've missed a week because they were all sick, and but she has dementia real bad. Sometimes she will know me, and sometimes it's only for a few minutes that she knows me, and sometimes she doesn't know me at all. But that's what that is. This is my season, and I'm thankful I can do that. And I guess and I'm not trying to be sad, but the truth is, the season of life is what matters. It's not that January 1st is a new year and it's coming. God doesn't have a calendar, and He doesn't have a planner. He doesn't have a watch to keep time with. He lives in a world of eternity, so time only matters to us. It doesn't matter to God. So that's why I refer to it as a season. Now, God has a season for this and a season for that. So we're moving into a new year. That's our term. With God, we might be moving into a new season. You're moving into a new season in your life, I know. And so if my new season is not to be a pastor or not to be part of this fellowship, my new season might be to just go visit people that can't go to church or doesn't have enough health to do things. It's like also on Christmas Eve, I went and got this sweet lady, Miss Sandy's medication for her. She needed things picked up. She had several prescriptions. She's on oxygen 24/7. So I counted a joy to get to go do that for her. And if that's the season I'm in, then and if the Lord lets me go on pastoring, that's great. If He lets me go on and go through another year with the AFCC, I am good. But I want to be, and this is what's so important, is to find yourself in what God's will is for you at that time, at that season. So that's kind of what I preached about yesterday. I probably, if the Lord lets me, preach about it some more next Sunday, because it is so important that we understand what God's will is for our life, for whatever season He puts us in. And sometimes it can be a difficult, like these people that I was visiting through this Christmas that are struggling with dealing with grief. I have never been surrounded by so many people struggling with grief and struggling with health issues. Right before Christmas, I buried. I went to the funeral of Ken Gann, who was one of my best friends. It was a good, and his daughter was just like my own daughter. And I hadn't seen her in a while, but I got to see her, and it was such a blessing to get to be there. Then another lady that worked at a restaurant we frequented, and she also went to the Cavalry Church called Cross Halo, and she passed away, and I went to that funeral. All of this happened during the holidays, so even the funerals I didn't do and the places I didn't go, I went. It just seemed to be surrounded by harder, difficult circumstances. But I am thankful that we had the opportunity to pay our respects and to try and be an encouragement to these people that really, really struggle. And then there's this other group of people that just have, for no reason, they just get depressed during the holidays. I have never really had depression, but I have a deep appreciation for people that struggle with it, because I know it. I don't know what it's like, but I know it is really, really hard. And some people, because of things that have happened in history or whatever reason, they struggle with depression during the holidays. So I love to have the opportunity to be around and pray for those people. And one of my dear friends that comes to our church, he was in Vietnam, and it happened in December. He lost most of a platoon of men in a fight. And December's always a struggle for him. And he always comes to me every year around Thanksgiving and said, remember, December's coming. And he's told me, he doesn't talk about it to his family. He's talked very little about it to anyone, but he has talked to me about it. And I really value his friendship and his trust. So I know that during the holidays, it is hard for him, because he struggles with the memory of that happening. And he was able to come home, and they weren't. So you have all of these people that have a lot of things. We look at all the Christmas lights and we think, well, everything is just grand and glorious, but it's not that way for everybody. And that group of people is the one that, for whatever reason, the Lord has put in my pathway to try to pray with and try to encourage, and I'm thankful, very thankful for it.
Well, I'm very thankful for you. Absolutely. We're going to have to go into a commercial break. You know where we are? We're at Twin City Used Car Sales with Bobby Ledbetter. One of our, I want to tell you what, we just love Bobby. He's a guy in New Hampshire, and I actually interviewed him a few weeks ago. And so I was talking about Bobby, and we were about to go into a commercial break, and I mentioned, I didn't talk about cars. I didn't talk about sales. I didn't talk about any of that stuff. I talked about things Bobby has done in the community.
Yes.
And you and I have got to help.
Yes. Yeah, what a blessing that was. And we couldn't have done it without him.
We just couldn't have, but it all started with him and with an idea.
Yeah.
And it all worked out. And it gave us blessing.
Oh, absolutely.
To be able to, we even had John Merrill, Alabama Secretary of State. He got hooked. And he would say, now, Donna,
he didn't miss a one.
You got to tell me now, every one of these you're going to do.
He didn't miss a one.
And I said, as soon as I hear from Bobby, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But Bobby was really, really involved in feeding people. This is COVID hit. A lot of people lost their jobs. They were barely making ends meet. So, and I'm not talking, he wasn't giving like a biscuit away. He was giving like a big turkey,
yes,
big can of beans, corn, rolls, those good rolls.
Yeah, and pecan pies. Yes.
Oh, man, you got me hooked on pecan pies. And so we got to do that. And I said, got to do that. It wasn't something we had to do. It was so much fun to do that. Let's go into a commercial break and come down here and buy from Bobby, by the way. BobbyLedbetter.com, and you'll be able to find him. When you're buying from Bobby, you're buying from somebody who cares about the community. Oh, the New Hampshire guy, he's coming all the way down here. He said, I like to buy from people like that.
Yes.
And
I did. I bought my wife a car from
Just got a truck. It's supposed to be for my husband, Phil, but I've kind of taken over the truck. I was telling Bobby about that the other day, and I said, yeah, I've kind of taken over the truck. It's a lot of fun. Okay, let's go into a commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about what we receive as unanswered prayers.
Okay.
And we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay?
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462.
It's 256-523-6462.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. We are at one of my favorite places. This is Twin City Used Car Sales with Bobby Ledbetter. We talked before we went into a break about how he loves your community.
Yeah.
Okay, so he lives in Gadsden. He had been in Fort Payne. By the way, Fort Payne people are coming all the way to Gadsden now, and people all over the country are coming by. And so he comes into Gadsden. What does he start doing in Gadsden? Helping schools, helping this and helping that. So that's the kind of guy you want to buy your car from. Okay, he doesn't have to ask anybody's permission for anything, and he just does it. But come check him out, BobbyLedbetter.com. See, a lot of more people are coming in. BobbyLedbetter.com. Make sure you do check him out.
You won't regret it.
Nope, you won't. Phillip Gilliland is with me right now. He's one of my very, very best friends. And so, Phillip, I was coming to Gadsden to be here with you and Bobby. And so I like country music. And so I was listening to Garth Brooks singing Unanswered Prayers.
Yeah.
And I've heard that song a million times, but there was something I heard in it this time that I hadn't heard before. I don't know what it is. And so, because sometimes we pray for things to happen.
Yes.
And if it happened, if everything I prayed for happened when Donna wanted it to happen, I'd be in a mess right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think, I like to think back to Romans chapter 8 because I used that chapter a lot. I used it at a funeral Saturday. And what it says in there is, and I'll paraphrase it, when there are ministering spirits, when we don't know how to pray, that intercedes for us and prays for us. So you may be beaten down so badly by life that you can't pray. I mean, I've been in a place where it was pretty close to that. But I also know that when you cannot, there are spirits that minister and go to God for you. Well, that's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible teaches. But also, prayers, not everything that we pray for is meant for us. And sometimes we struggle to know the difference.
Donna gets in the way.
And it happens to all of us. We think but here's my thing, and I talked a lot about people dealing with hard circumstances. And this is what I tell those people, and it doesn't have to be people dealing with hard circumstances. It's good for all of us. But when you're, and I use my own experience, when there's something in my life that I really think I need, that maybe it's unfair, in my opinion, I want it to be righted by Almighty God, but that may not be God's plan. So the best thing for me to do is not pray for myself. The best thing for me to do is pray for these people that I know who are sick, who are discouraged, who are disappointed in life, people that are fighting or battling depression, people that are unhappy with something like their job, their marriage, or anything. But pray for somebody else, or better yet, go do something for somebody that can do nothing for you in return. I promise you, there's nothing that will thrust you forward any better than trying to minister to somebody when you yourself really need it. If you do it for somebody else, it will help you every time. That's why when people when I talk to people who are struggling with something, I always tell them, look, the best thing you can do is go visit somebody that's in a nursing home. Go visit somebody that has it worse than you do. Go pray with them. Go do something for somebody that can do nothing for you. And I promise you, when you take your eyes off of your circumstances and you get focused on somebody else who has bad circumstances, it will change your prayer life. It will change your perception of what your life ought to be. And as we start into this new year, so many of us have these things that we need to put in our rear view mirror and take it off the windshield and start looking for what God's will is for us in this new season of life.
That's why I keep mentioning Bobby with Twin City Used Car Sales, because people were hurting. He took himself out of the situation. And you remember, was it Center he went to? And so we
Yes,
ran out of
yes,
food. My daughter-in-law sister had passed away, so that's the one I missed. So I had
yes.
to be in North Carolina that day. And so you guys ran out of food. And so what did Bobby do? He gives his credit card to McDonald's.
Yeah,
He says, if anybody needs it,
he called down there and he said, "This is my credit card number. I want you to, every person that comes in there that wants food, I'm going to give them a slip with my name, and when it's all over, I'll come down and get my receipt." Well, there was 20 or 30 carloads of people, and we just ran out. We had so many people there, and thank the Lord for it. And we had cooked Boston butts all night the night before, Curtis Chester and his team. And one of those kids that was there helping him was at our church yesterday, and he's been off and gone to school. He's still a young guy, but John Myrick was at our church yesterday with his girlfriend. I was so blessed to get to see him, but he was one of those young boys, one of Richard's kids that showed up and cooked all night long, and then we fed. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people, carloads. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about carloads. And at the end, right before 2 o'clock, we ran out of food. And that's when Bobby said, "No problem. I got this." He calls McDonald's and says, "Look, you let them have whatever they want, and I'll come down there and sign the receipt once we get finished up here." And there was at least 20 carloads of people that went down there and got food. They just didn't get there early. But anyway, it was an amazing experience. I figured it up roughly the best I could tell. One time it was over a period in 5 counties over a period of a year and a half. We fed over 40,000 people, and Bobby helped make that happen. And as you've said, and we love to say, our friend John Merrill, who was Secretary of State, showed up at every one of them, drove all the way from Montgomery to help us. And there was other mayors and state representatives and people like Tommy Haynes that came and worked.
In his area.
And even it didn't matter if they were in his area or not. Because they saw the value, they saw the ministry, they saw the need and opportunity to do something for people. And by the time we made that last stop at Rainsville right before Thanksgiving, I had my teenage boys there. I wanted them to see what it's like. And some more kids from Cornerstone came, and they handed out food to people because they needed to understand not everybody has it as good as you have it, and you don't know what it's like until you've handed somebody food in a car that's living out of that car. And
we saw some.
We saw that.
Literally living out of their cars.
Yeah, and we handed them food, and what a blessing that was. And again, we couldn't have done it without Bobby and his creative thinking. And his heart for people. He has a heart for people. I believe a rank stranger could come walk in this showroom today and tell him, say, "Look, I'll do anything that you got for me to do. I just don't have any money to eat." And he'd take them, and he might let them do something, but he would take them and feed them before he started.
This is testimonials from people I don't know who just called me and told me what he's done before. So one lady said, "Well, I bought a car. Husband died. He wasn't around to tell her what kind of car to get." And she said, "I used him. He was the person who helped me. I mean, he would just go take care of everything like that for me." And so what happened is Bobby was helping her, and he had advice for another vehicle. Well, she said, "No, I think I want this one." So she bought that, the one that he didn't say yet. So she bought that one. She had it about a month and wasn't happy with it. You know what he let her do?
He let her
trade it and get the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know anybody else.
No.
Man, it'd be like, "Sorry, you're stuck with it."
That's right. But he is that way. He's not just gotten that way. Let me tell you, we come from the same hometown. He was my neighbor in Albertville where I grew up and he grew up. He has always kind of been that kind of guy.
He's always. My brother just recently got married, and so the lady drives because I'm helping with the food, of course. So because I like doing stuff like that. So I'm at the church. I'm the first one there, of course. And then so she drives up and she says, "What are you doing with a Bobby Ledbetter magnet on your car?" And I'm like, I said, "He's one of the finest people there is." And I said, "He's one of my sponsors." I didn't know her. She was just a friend of my sister-in-law. And then she started laughing. She said, "Nah." She said, "I know Bobby. She cleans cars for Bobby."
Yeah.
And so what she does, he'll find cars and maybe leather. She's a leather worker, and she does magic. So because she showed me some things that she's done, and she said, "No, this guy's awesome." She said, "You know, he came from nothing."
Yeah.
And so her family and his family were friends. So he gets into the car business. So he gets cars, and if he just doesn't like something's torn on the leather or whatever, he calls her and she does the repair on it.
Yeah.
She said, "No, Bobby's that good."
He is. He is. You can ask our neighborhood where we grew up at, and they'll everybody knows what a good person he is.
I wanted to mention Mr. Chester
Oh yeah.
with the chuck wagon. So and these are amazing things that are, and these are people who you'll never know what they've done. I'm doing the bragging because they'll never brag on their own self at all. So you remember when the flooding hit in Kentucky?
Yes.
And so Mr. Chester calls me and he said, I just want to let you know what I'm doing. And I said, "Well, can I help you get maybe supplies and stuff like that?" So I mentioned it on the air, and so just to kind of help him out. And so he goes all the way to Kentucky because he wanted to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he said, "This is my ministry."
Yeah.
He said he just wants to feed people. He likes to cook, and so the chuck wagon does all the cooking and what have you. But these guys will go everywhere. And then when the hurricane hit in North Carolina, a bunch of my friends up in that part of the neck of the woods up there, they got damaged homes.
Yeah.
They're still living.
Oh, it's unreal.
So there he goes, the chuck wagon. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it wasn't just me. It was a whole group. All of our cowboy churches made multiple trips up there, and we still have a few things to go. I was so amazed and so thankful that one of our churches up there on Christmas was still giving away free presents and free toys to families that didn't have things for children. They had it. They had them left over because they made sure. And another one of our churches up there, Blazing Trails Cowboy Church, they did a tremendous amount, and the AFCC put some money. But besides that, there was a guy that I worked for 20-something years ago named Don Mueller who lives in Wisconsin. And he was, part of the time he was in the hospital. He's a veteran. He's one of the best men I ever worked for. And but Don was sending us donations. His daughter Michelle sent us donations to help. And I don't mean just a few dollars. I mean they made an impact. They sent money enough to make an impact. And we took all that and turned it into goods and toys and some of it clothes or heaters and things for people up in North Carolina, and what a blessing those kind of people are.
Well, were you in devastation like that? And none of us, most of us have never went through anything like that before.
No.
These people had not, and people in Nashville have never been through anything like that before. Nice homes and all that. All of a sudden, blank. There's nothing.
And I had stayed in a hotel in Asheville not too long before that because I was up there doing.
Nice area.
Oh yeah, it is. It's beautiful, and where the Hampton Inn I stayed at, and all around it. Well, I-40 is still closed going across from East Tennessee into North Carolina, and it'll be a while before they get that. I mean, that's a major interstate. So, I mean,
so it has the hurt industry there because this is where you want to go vacation. But when cabins are destroyed, I mean, people, their livelihood is destroyed.
Yeah. I talked to Brother Harvey Gates, who's pastor of that cowboy church there in Lincolnton, and they were close enough that they could get people's shoe size and coat size and things that they would fit them, and they would take the money and go buy stuff and take it back to a family that lost everything and give them fresh clothes to wear because that won't be rebuilt in a year or two. I'm telling you, it won't be rebuilt like it was in 5 years from now. And some of it will never be like it was because and I've seen devastation. The tornadoes of 2011 here in Alabama that killed 300 plus people. My goodness, you can't even tell that happened. It's not going to be that way up there.
Well, it's going to change the landscape.
It is.
It changes everything.
It is amazing, and to see the hurt in these people's eyes, and it was like trauma. They had been so traumatized by this thing of losing, and I can't imagine it because I've never lost everything in the house for a tornado. Now I've been there and helped people that have, but myself, I can't imagine what that's like. But what an opportunity for us and for Cowboy Church. And when we did the same thing in Florida, Billy Keith, who's pastor of Rafter Cross Cowboy Church in Williston, they worked and worked and worked. And some of our churches up here sent a tractor trailer load at one time of goods to help these others. But what just blows me away is it seems like when these things occur, we always have a Cowboy Church somewhere close by.
Always. And I will mention another thing. So during the devastation of the hurricane through the Carolinas, it really took a toll up there. So Kaylee Johnson, who is like the big wig at the Gadsden Mall over here, has received a promotion, by the way. She's done such a good job. So she's over several malls now. So Kaylee called and she said, Donna, we've got a van full of stuff. I have no way to get it up there. Is there a Cowboy Church that can help? First words out of her mouth. I didn't even mention the Cowboy Church. And I said, I think so. Let me get in touch with Phillip Gilliland. We'll see what happens. And then you got in contact with
Wormy's Church, Crossover Cowboy Church in Henniger carried that with some of their stuff. And
Did she say anything else? No. She said, is there a Cowboy Church that can help us get this stuff over there?
Yeah.
She said, it needs to be helping people instead of sitting here at the mall.
Yes. And
it happened.
Yeah, we did. In fact, we carried it to their mall. Is where we unloaded it at right up there by their mall. It just shows that if you really want to serve, if you really don't mind going and helping people, there'll be a pathway to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It takes us getting outside of ourselves, and because sometimes, and I do this too sometimes without even thinking about it. Sometimes we're in our comfortable little box right here, and we don't even know what's going on around us.
Right. That's right.
I'll tell you something that'll help you at Christmas time. Even if there's not a Cowboy Church around where you can help serve, wherever you're living, there's always a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
There's no way that'll humble you.
Oh, I'm sure it will. But this happened to us right here at Christmas. We were able, at our church in Woodville, Alabama, the Trading Post Cowboy Church, we were able to help more people this year than we've ever helped in our own community. And there was more need for it this year than ever. And it amazed me, one of the funerals that I went to, which was on Sunday before Christmas, a guy that doesn't come to our church regularly, but he was there that Sunday, and he handed me a fistful of $100 bills. And when he handed it to me, my elder, who is also watches over the church finances, was standing by me, and I turned and handed it to him, and I said, "Put this in our benevolent need fund." He said, "I will." And I left church and started toward Cleveland, where that funeral was, Cleveland, Alabama, down in Blount County. And I get a call from a lady, and I knew this lady because we helped her about a year ago. And she's not somebody but she said, "We have no food. We have no food." And she said, "I should be getting a new card here in a few days to help me get some things, but I've just come back here and we have no food." And so I called Miss Barbara, who has a church credit card, and she met her that afternoon. I was headed to the funeral. She met her and got her food that day. And to me, that's what churches need to be doing. That it's great and we're called to fulfill people's spiritual needs. That's what our number one thing is. But Jesus always took care of their physical needs first. He would heal people if they needed healing. He fed people when they needed feeding. He always did. He took care of their physical needs before he did the miracle that he did for them. And sometimes that was miraculous too.
Well, we're also told in the Bible to respect our government, and we do. But now the only thing about that is there are chains of command they have to go through to make things happen. And people were needing help. Again, I'm going back to the hurricane. But before, because you guys don't have to jump through hurdles. You just get with each other and say, let's do it and make it happen. And it does. And it's done with prayer too. I know that.
Yeah.
And so before, so the folks wouldn't have to wait. Because that's what government is. I mean,
and not only, it was such a failure up there. FEMA was such a failure in East Tennessee and North Carolina. And I don't even want to get into it because I would say something really bad that wouldn't help us. But when we went there, people needed what we had.
Your body can't do without something as simple as water. You've got to have water to survive. You can do without food for 30 days. But you got to have water.
And it just so happened that our church had a whole pallet of water. And when that happened on Monday morning, I left with that pallet of water in the back of my truck headed to East Tennessee because they had to have it.
We're recording, and we want to get you back here, okay?
Yeah. Well,
are you about to do something?
No.
Can folks just meet you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is the guy we've been talking about. So you got to come right here.
Let me slide up. Can you get in there?
Yeah, there we go.
This is my friend Bobby Ledbetter. He's a friend of Phillip Gilliland.
Yes.
He's a friend of everybody around here. So we've been talking about when COVID hit, people were hurting. They needed food, and about all the different places that you organized, and we got to help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we actually all organized it together, and all of us come to. We went to 5 counties?
5 counties.
And we was feeding everybody. We just thought during the time that would help people, and it was a really good deal, and helped a lot of people's. And some of them were done twice. The counties and stuff like that, and we just fed thousands of people.
We did.
And you figured how many thousands?
I figured it was over 40,000.
Yeah, I knew it was up in the thousands and everything too. And then we done the Christmas dinners and stuff that we done also. Or give them a whole Christmas dinner. We passed out.
That was at Rangeville. That's right.
But I was glad to be a part of it, and all of us done it together. Everybody coming together, helping each other is what it's all about.
Well, that's a blessing too. I mean, because it takes that fellowship, and it takes all of us to make. When God wants to do something really big, He incorporate because He wants to bless more than just one or two.
Yeah.
So He blessed all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then now that you're here in Gadsden, I'm hearing your name all over Gadsden.
Yes, and it's been a blessing for us here in Gadsden too. And of course, we've been in Fort Payne for the last 20-something years up there, and the grocery store got a lot up there, so we had this lot here, so we come back down here, and so it's been really good. And actually, we've been selling more than anybody in the town, and then we just had the H.M. Freeman Motors come along with us. It's been here 64 years that just come in with us now, so that's going to be another blessing for us.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're a busy guy,
Okay.
but that's what everybody
It's nice
needed.
meeting y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thanks
Bobby.
for everything you do.
Well, we appreciate y'all. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
It is. He says that every time.
Yeah.
Like we'll decide to do something, he'll go, "We're a team."
Yeah. And he exemplifies that pretty good too.
Okay,
Such
about
a great
5
guy.
minutes left in this segment, and I want you to end that. What would you like to tell the folks before we go?
Well, I would like to say, more than anything else, beginning in 2025, the Bible tells us what we ought to know. And Jesus said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these other things will be that you need to survive will happen." But what you need to do first is seek God's will for your home and family. If you're not involved in a good Bible-believing church, get in one. I'd love for it to be a cowboy church because I know what they do. But if it's not, get in a good Bible-believing, because listen, the world is trying its best to destroy your children and your grandchildren. And if you got them in church, they have a much better chance of hearing the truth and knowing what's right and wrong.
Shield around them.
That's right. I was raised in church, and I'm thankful for it. We have a lot of people come to our church that didn't know Genesis and Revelations, and they were grown adult people. I think Cowboy Church has done a really good job of leading a lot of middle-aged or older people. Some of those have meant so much to me that came to Christ later in life, and it was because they wouldn't have ever darkened the door of a traditional church, but they came to a Cowboy Church.
Phil and I were going through that same situation.
So my advice to you is draw close to God, and He'll draw close to you, and you need Him whether you know it or not. You need to have your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life, and you need to trust Him for salvation and get involved in some kind of healthy church and the ministry that it provides.
Let's talk to mamas, because I've been through this thing too. My son, who's 40-something years old, was 2 once, and I know how they could get inside a church. And there were times I didn't want to go to church because I was afraid he would be disruptive in the church.
Yeah.
Your kids are welcome at a Cowboy Church.
Oh yeah. But we always say that that's the sound of our future. And when a young couple comes in and they've got a little one, the first thing I tell them is, listen, don't think that child, if he cries or fusses, don't think that's going to disturb us in any way. We kind of like that sound because that means there's life in our church.
It's a beautiful sound.
It is a beautiful sound, and I love to see these younger folks having babies and the sound of it in our church. I just never get tired of that sound in church because it means that we have a future. Our church has a future. And we were talking about all those things that we carried in North Carolina. One church gave us everything they had that dealt with arts and crafts and young people. And the reason why they did is that church was a traditional church that is dying, and they don't have many coming there, and they have 0 youth or children. And they gave us all of their stuff, and we carried it up there and gave it away. But they don't have a future. Listen, you need children and young people in your church. Thank the good Lord for our Wednesday night group, and I don't ever miss, if I can help it, a Wednesday night, because that's when our children and young people are there. And every little kid runs and jumps up in my lap. In fact, they've started calling me Uncle Brother Phillip, and I love it. I wouldn't correct one of them.
Oh, no.
Because I thrive on that, and I love our kids and young people, and
even teenagers are welcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, we have a pretty good group of those, and they're very active and do things, and we do things with them to grow them in the Lord. In fact, right back in August, I baptized 21 of them, and what a blessing that was. It's just amazing.
Well, you're pretty amazing too.
Well,
and I want to thank you for everything you've done, and for our family, for Phil and me. And you've been such a good friend to us.
It's been my blessing.
And you've been a good friend too. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. I find that television syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And you can also find the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails, because I'm just telling you, when I get an email from you, it just makes my day. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. I love hearing from you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. You take care.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.